What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Thingos back again for another video, and in this one, real quick, I wanted to give my honest opinion and thoughts on if they were to make an Invincible video game, how I would like to see it done. Now, I'm a huge fan of video games. I mean, in this world, who doesn't like to play video games? But me, I've been a huge fan of video games ever since I can remember. Some of my favorite games are actually superhero video games, but not all of them are good. You know, we actually lived in a time where superhero video games was kind of frowned upon because they couldn't really get the feel of the character right, or it just wasn't fun to play. We've had a lot of much better superhero video games in the past years. Most of the highly regarded superhero games are either like Spider-Man games or Batman games or like fighting games and stuff like that. But, you know, it just kind of makes you wonder, with the popularity of Invincible just increasing more and more and more, if they were to make a video game about the character of Invincible, how could it be done? Now, I saw that they actually did make an article about this on Screen Rant, but I didn't read it. But when I saw the title, it just made me kind of like think and conjure up my own thoughts of how I would like to see a video game done by Invincible. So, fuck it, wanted to make a quick video on it. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail with this because honestly, video like this could take a lot to break down and a lot of intricacies to really like try to paint the picture of how you would want it done. But just to kind of give you a quick little simple overlay of how I would like it. Okay, so this might come as a surprise to a lot of you guys, but I'm not, you know, don't get me wrong, I love me some open world games. I love games where you get to go around, explore, do little side missions and shit like that. I like me an open world game. I love me an open world game. Hell, you know what I'm saying, I like swinging around in Spider-Man and shit. I do. But if I'm being honest, I miss the more focused in story, like the more very expertly crafted narratives that you would get like for a more like structured game. For, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, prime example I can give you guys, it's one of my favorite all-time video games, and definitely one of my favorite superhero video games of all time, if not my favorite. The Spider-Man video game that came out back in like the late 90s, I think it came out like 2000, 2001, but I know it came out on the Dreamcast, PS1, Nintendo 64, PC. I own all copies. I fucking love this game. Spider-Man, you know, the one that came on like Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. In the web. Yeah, that one. That's the one. That main menu, that, bruh, I love that fucking game. And it's not just because, you know what I'm saying, it's a Spider-Man game, but it's clear that a lot of love went into that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like every single aspect of that game, the training segments, hell, even the options menu, the save menu, like you know, the collectibles, every teeny tiny little thing. It's so much detail and time put into everything in the game, so much love and care. You can tell that the people that made this game are really some fucking Spider-Man fans. And honestly, my only gripe and con against the game is the fact that it's so short. If the game was longer, it would honestly be perfect, but it does have a lot of replay value. Now imagine if they did something like that with Invincible, right? They craft a story in the world of Invincible. They don't have to tell an exact one-for-one story from the comic, but let's say they create a story in the world of Invincible using a lot of his rogues, a lot of characters in the world of Invincible. You know what I'm saying? They make a villain, they give him a plan, and you know, you have to stop this plan, but while you're on your way to the main villain to stop him, you kind of like bump into other villains along the way. You have a lot of different boss battles and stuff like that, a lot of different environments that you are brought into. Then these environments are, you know what I'm saying, they kind of like properly represent the boss that you're fighting. They also did that with another Spider-Man game. Sorry if I seem like I'm just talking about a lot of Spider-Man, but this is the best example I can think of. They did another one with Shattered Dimensions. I really love the Shattered Dimensions video games. I really liked how they had like every level be centered around like a different boss, and you're making your way closer and closer to the boss, and the boss battles in that game were epic as fuck too. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them, but for the most part they was live. So if you could do a PS5 version of that with amazing graphics and utilizing Invincible's skill set. Now, he's really just super fucking strong. You know what I'm saying? So all you would have to do is really create, like, try to replicate what it feels like to punch something as Invincible. Now, that would be very hard to replicate. I know in video games, destruction is highly regarded. A lot of people try to make destructible environments and shit like that. Man, you could do some shit like Red Faction Guerrilla. I don't know how many people remember that game. That game was live as fuck. Instead of just using a hammer to just beat niggas into buildings and like break it down and shit. Imagine that being Invincible's fist, right? So they have a system where you can move around, you can punch buildings, you can break them, you can punch environments, you can break them, you can just turn them into shit. Like, I'm talking about just completely destroy it. Which will make people have fun just flying around and just breaking shit. You can make it open world as well, but like I said, I prefer a more focused, tightly driven narrative. But if you do make it open world, at least do something like make Invincible be able to do something that we would love to do in that open world to have fun. With Spider-Man, it's swinging around, helping civilians. With Invincible, it could be flying around and helping civilians, but also add that destructibility. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is a video game. Everything don't have to be so pinpoint accurate. Like, it'd be cool as hell if you could just fly around as Invincible and just destroy shit and get points for it. Similar to, once again, another Spider-Man comparison. But you know what? I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna use another comparison. The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. That was another cool game where you could play as the Incredible Hulk and go around everywhere and destroy shit, and you actually had this mode, like Rampage mode or some shit. You could get points for as much damage and carnage you know what I'm saying, you did around the city. So imagine Invincible doing something like that. Now, I know he doesn't kill people, but it would be cool as fuck if they made like a mode where you could just fully explore the map and the world and just destroy as much shit as possible. This game has to be rated M. It's going to be blood and gore. Yes, y'all are going to be endorsing a hero going around fucking some people up in violent ways. Would it be kind of hard to sell that? Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it. We getting everything sold to us these days. But yeah, man, a violent rated M raw action game could be open world, and like I said, if it is open world, give us a reason to want to do shit in that open world. You could literally have a mode called like Viltrumite mode or something, where you going around the city punching buildings, destroying shit. The more buildings and the more destruction, cars you blow up or explode or throw, the more people you kill and shit. Like, the more shit you fuck up, the more that point meter racks up, and it gets harder and harder for you to do so. Let's say they start bringing out more and more people to stop you, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. And there has to be some kind of health system. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but Invincible can't be invincible, otherwise the game will be too fucking easy. So you could have it similar to like that Wolverine game, or even the Deadpool game, where he takes a lot of damage, and to a certain extent it starts to become a little visible, and then it starts to become more and more visible, and after a while eventually his endurance runs out and he just, you know, dies. Or maybe not die, maybe he passes out due to the amount of damage that's been done to him, and then he wakes up like at Cecil's hospital, or he wakes up at like the hospital, or he just wakes up like in a different area of the map, and then you can just go about and continue what you're doing. Maybe they take away some money, some points, or the mode ends and then you just get a score left right there, and then you got to beat your score the next time. You know, you leave Viltrumite mode, go back to regular mode, you know, stuff like that. You know, just a little something. Give us a reason to have fun and be in the open world. But as far as the story goes, make us some dope ass boss battles. You could really like have the boss battles like center around like the boss's powers and what they're good at. Make them a little bit more of a threat, because realistically, Invincible fighting a lot of these guys, the fight might be over in like a couple seconds. So of course you're gonna have to take some creative liberties and maybe, you know, nerf Invincible a tiny bit in the game to make the fights more entertaining. But yeah, destructive environments and open world if you want. if you do, you got to marry those together. Open world, destructive environments, and, you know, being able to do like some kind of mini game for points and shit. But if you don't do that, just have a tightly structured, nice narrative that involves a lot of the rogues gallery of Invincible. I mean, I'm talking at least 10 main boss battles leading up to like a main boss battle at the end, where that boss has layers to him. Maybe you gotta fight him like 2 or 3 times. So total of 12, 13 bosses, something like that. The levels could each be about maybe 20, 30 some minutes long, depending on how you do go make your way through the level. Defeat X amount of enemies, you know what I'm saying? Try to find some collectibles, fly around, get creative with your attacks, maybe knock a nigga in the air, fly up in the air with him, grab him, throw him to the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could have some really unique moves that they could create with Invincible strength. An enemy tries to punch you, maybe Invincible can reverse it, but unique to his character, instead of just dodging it, maybe he moves into it, lets the enemy punch him, and then the enemy goes like, ah! You know what I'm saying? That's an attack right there. They break their shit. You grab them, throw them through some walls or something like. They can make a lot of cool attacks based around his super strength. I say lean fully into that. Try to make some real creative shit. Punch the ground, make it shake and rupture. Rocks and shit come up, and so do the enemies that you're fighting against. They spread out, they get flown around. Punch the ground, the enemies fly up in the air. While they're in the air, you can slowly target lock them or whatever. Maybe the game slows down for a couple of seconds while you target lock them, and maybe Invincible can fly and dash to all of them. Do like a little, you know what I'm saying, quick little, like, it's a lot of shit that you can do. Little power-ups, you know what I'm saying, little speed zip. He's zipping it, pop, pop them all, and then come back down, and then that's like a regular little, you know, it's a lot of shit you could do. I'm definitely going to come back to this video and try to add some more onto it, because the more I talk, the more I think about, like, more things that can be done. You know what I'm saying? And it's really entertaining, and just, you know, my mind is just, you know, spiraling on thinking about the different things that could be done with an Invincible game. But this is definitely just a little part one. I have something I gotta do later, so I can't just spend all the time I want to just talking about this shit. But like I said, the more I talk about it, the more I think about cool ass things that can be done. Just make sure, like, you could even have multiple playable characters if you want, but don't go that far. If that's too hard, you ain't gotta do that shit. But there's a lot of characters in the world of Invincible, so if you don't want to make more multiple characters to play as, maybe you could have characters you could call in as an assist. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody from the team, or, you know what I'm saying, like Brit, Tech Jacket, or something like that. The Astounding Wolfman. You could have missions with these characters, or you could have them come around to help you out. Or maybe not even missions with the characters, have them come around to help you out. They could just be in the damn game, part of cutscenes, or interacting with Invincible in cutscenes, telling them this and that, just to let you know that they are in the world, just to make it feel more lived in, more involved. Similar to the Spider-Man game, he didn't really interact with directly, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't just fight alongside a lot of these characters, or you couldn't just call them in for an assist or nothing. But he was actively talking to and interacting with a lot of these other Marvel characters in the game through cutscenes and stuff like that. So they were in the world, they knew what was going on, they talked with Spider-Man. Didn't really help him out that much, but it was still cool to see that they were in the game. So it would be cool if they did something like that as well. Just have other characters of the cast of Invincible be involved, heroes, Easter eggs, what have you, stuff like that. So a lot can be done with this game, especially if they lean more into the comic book roots as opposed to the animation counterpart. It's a lot more to play with, a lot more to pull from if they go from the comics. But I'm speaking as if this shit is really about to happen and be announced today at the damn PlayStation's live stream or whatever the fuck. But nah, man, this is just something that may not even happen, purely speculation, coming from an Invincible fan like myself, just, you know, talking about if they were to do this shit. But like I said, with the fame and the popularity of Invincible skyrocketing and it becoming more and more prominent and people knowing more about it, and with a movie on the way, future seasons, I feel like it's definitely a possibility that we could get an Invincible game. Now, how big it's going to be, the scope, what they would do with it, I don't know. But just look at how crazy the merchandise and all the different mediums and shit was with The Walking Dead when it started to take off. The Walking Dead got so many video games. Granted, it has one video game series that is actually very good and won awards and shit that is really good. not all the Walking Dead games are good, but it's done a lot. You know what I'm saying? And Robert Kirkman is behind that as well. So with Invincible arguably probably becoming the second most popular thing that he has done, I could see a video game coming from this easy. So we'll have to see. Let me know what you guys think, man. What would you like to see in an Invincible video game? How would you do it? How would you go about it? Did you like a lot of the ideas that I listed here? Although brief and not really planned out, I tried my best to kind of give you guys a light idea, lay it out on how I would like a video game for Invincible to be done. But help me out, guys. Let's talk about this shit, man. If you want to join the Discord, I'll leave the link to Invincible Disciples in the comments section below. And also, if you want to join my Facebook group, Viltrumites Take Flight, be sure to check that out. Look it up on Facebook. And yeah, hope you're having a good day, night, wherever you are. And until next time, guys, peace.